My name is David Oginde. I have just recently finished my term as Bishop of Christ is the Answer Ministries. So now in our system, I'm called Bishop Emeritus. I think political leadership of our country, COVID has really tested the leadership, political leadership across the world, not just Kenya. You have seen how different countries responded to the COVID pandemic. Some very good, some terrible. So it really tested leadership and what I would call leading in crisis. Because many countries have been very stable for many years, so they have never known anything of a crisis that comes on a political level. And so this kind of a crisis put every leader at the same level, whether you are a developed world or a so-called third world. All political leaders were put at the same level. How you responded to the pandemic determined how well your country survived. And I think the lesson there is that every country, every nation needs to just do what I was talking about. We need to analyze our levels of crisis preparedness, disaster preparedness. When there is disaster, what are the things that we have put in place that could help a nation survive? I have been very, very surprised, for example, like the nation of America, which we have all been looking up to, and how they were totally devastated by the corona pandemic. And simply because they treated it casually in the beginning, and it just overran them. We still are wondering what is happening in Tanzania, and the information that is beginning to come out of that of our neighbors, Tanzania, is also something to check. Again, because of their response to the whole situation. And this can be said of different countries everywhere. I must confess that I am personally very proud of Kenya and how we responded. I may not say the same in every other thing, but our response to the corona pandemic, I think, was very sober. And I think it helped us to be where we are today. It may have been mismanaged in other areas, but in terms of response and the actions that were taken at the initial stages, I think that our government did very well. What should Kenyans do? I mean, we are a nation that is too politicized, unfortunately. Our politics runs like a chain smoker. A chain smoker lights one cigarette with another. We light one election with another. When we finish this election, 2017, we have started the same day. People are talking about 2022. When we are going to finish 22, they will be talking about 2027. So we never ever stop to settle down to run the nation. And Kenyans are always thinking politically. Everything is politicized. So you look at BBI, for example. I was part of a team in 2017 when we had this crisis out of the 2017 elections. And I was part of a small team that was led by the US ambassador, trying to help our leaders to come together so that we could calm down the nation and help the nation move forward. And it was a very, very difficult task. But finally, by God's grace, the president agreed to meet with the opposition leader, Raila Odinga. As we were preparing that, one of the things that was in our minds is that we needed what we were calling a national conversation. And the national conversation was to look at what are these issues that every election season brings us to fight one another, so that we can address them and deal with them in a way that come future elections, we don't have to fall back to the same problem. So we were actually in the process of looking at who are the people who can help us put together a national conversation to deal with these issues. And we had even floated some names of people. Then came the handshake. And we were very excited as a team that our prayer has been answered. The nation got the peace that we had been praying for. Life began to get back to normal. And to our surprise again, the two principals said they are putting together this Building Bridges initiative, which in our mind was the same thing we were talking about as a national conversation. And so we were very happy about the whole thing of BBI, because this fitted within the framework of what we had been thinking about as a national conversation to deal with issues that have been affecting this nation for decades, that we keep fighting one another. But it didn't take long before the whole thing was politicized. And now the whole thing is a political thing that if now, even as I'm talking now, somebody hearing me say, so you are a BBI guy, you know. It is very unfortunate because we cannot run a nation this way, where you politicize everything. So now even the voting for BBI, if and when it does come, even the counties that are voting, it is in political lines. It has nothing to do with the merits and the demerits of BBI. So you cannot say that this county has looked at everything that BBI contains and they see that it is good for the nation and therefore they are voting for it. Or this county has looked at it and they have said, no, this thing is not good for the nation and therefore they have voted against it. You cannot say that. They are going to be along political lines. That is very, very unfortunate because you cannot run a nation like that. We are losing a great moment for addressing issues that have bedeviled us for a very long time. And this is where we have lost what we as a small group were thinking about, a national conversation that would tease out issues, bring them out, bring them to Kenyans and say, how do we solve these problems? How do we sort out these issues so that Kenyans can have a voice on the same and sort out these perennial fights over political issues? As we go to the 2022 elections, I wish Kenyans would be sober. Sober enough to ignore politicians. I know that is an impossibility for Kenyans. To ignore politicians and look beyond the political rhetoric that we have right now to identifying individuals that we believe can actually lead this nation to where we want to go. Even as I say that, it sounds strange in my own ears because Kenyans don't think that way, sadly. But it is still worth saying that we need to be sober. These politicians are the same ones. They keep changing parties, they keep changing coalitions, but they're the same people. And so this one now forms a new party and begins to tell you how they're now going to be the ones to deliver you out of the wilderness. This one forms a new coalition and they're telling you now they're the ones who have found the solution for Kenya. And it is the same people. Why do we go back to the same thing? It is foolishness. So I wish we as Kenyans, we can just be sober enough to look beyond the political rhetorics and choose our leaders more soberly. The day we get there will be heaven on earth for Kenya.